All right, it is time for a roundup of the news. And first thing thought of, if things turn out as some predict, we could have on the staff at one time Rich and Rhett Rodriguez, Jeff and Jake Castile, and potentially Ryan Nealon. How's that for a family affair? As well as a fair amount of alliteration. I'll get to more news as soon as I say this is WVU football, going deep. I am Forrest Poston, and this is a channel for fans who like to think as well as cheer. And remember that trash talk and insults don't fly here. Welcome to disagree, but please, a little maturity. I don't ask for a lot, but a little. Please share, subscribe, click the thumbs up, click the notification bell, make comments, and tell your friends. I do want to say I'm planning to do a live chat. It will be Monday or Tuesday, I think, starting at 8 p.m. Eastern. I will have a thumbnail up here on the site relatively soon, as in should be sometime today. So, not sure just how much we'll have to talk about by then, but I am hoping there will be more official announcements and at least some unofficial information, which is mostly what we have today. I was expecting a lot more news, and we may get some before this afternoon is over. We'll see. Let's see. Some of the updates. It is now official that Ryan Garrett will be wide receivers coach. That has been announced. The official announcements are coming more slowly than expected. Rodriguez said he would probably roll those out, not all at the same time, but every couple of hours. And it's been more like every couple of days. I'm sure there are reasons. I'm sure there are good reasons. We don't know them, and it's not going to change how impatient we are. Unofficially, Pat Kirkland from Jacksonville State is now on the West Virginia coaching staff. He was coaching special teams and the bandit position at Jacksonville State, so assumption is he'll be doing something similar at West Virginia. Now, keep in mind, a couple of things to keep in mind. One, a lot of these unofficial announcements are when the coach or player changes information on their Twitter page. That is happening days and days before we get official announcements. So that's what we're working with, which does seem to be dependable in most cases. But it keeps us, well, I suppose, let's just say anticipation. If you remember the old Heinz commercial and the Carly Simon song they used. If you don't remember it, you can look it up on YouTube, as with so many other things. Other thing to keep in mind, typically there's been a limit of 10 coaches. Then you can have analysts and some grad assistants, this sort of thing, but 10 coaches. That limit does not exist anymore. There is a limit of 10 recruiters who can be out recruiting at any one time. But you can call one of those in and send somebody else out who was not one of the 10 recruiters. So it is a fluid limit there. But this means if you have the money and the sources, you can have essentially an infinite number of coaches. That would not be a very good idea, but more than 10 looks likely, which is why we have a wide receiver coach, an inside receiver coach, and a tight end coach. We may have somebody coaching just the cheetah spear bandit position. We still are looking for somebody's safeties, and whether or not we have cornerbacks covered is not entirely clear. Great deal of speculation, and we still do not have an offensive coordinator. And again, since we do not have a limit of 10 coaches, we may hire somebody to just be offensive coordinator and not a position coach. That is a possibility. And since so much of this is new, the coaches and Ren Baker and all of them are making it up as they go. They're just trying to work out what's going to work best, and then we'll adjust in the future. Let us see here. I am saving a little bit of information that many of you will be delighted by, and you quite probably already know, but I'm going to save it for last anyway. General manager, again, unofficial, Chuck Lilly, who was the assistant general manager at Oklahoma. And not surprising, we are bringing a lot of people from Oklahoma University. And it's that's not a bad program, okay? And of course, these are people that, in this case, it's probably partly through Rodriguez, partly through Ali, so that connections, the people, who you trust. Classic line from the John Wayne movie Rio Grande, and he asks the soldier, do you consider yourself a good judge of men? And the reply is, I consider myself a good judge of who I trust. All right. Now, on the player side of things, Markell, White, and Gallagher have all officially announced on Twitter that they are staying. I assume that's solid enough that we probably don't need to worry about it during the spring transfer window. Things can change, but at the moment, they have re-upped their commitment. And that obviously that gives us a solid core. Quarterback, a slot receiver who was showing some really good signs last year, especially near the end of the year. And remember that Gallagher had to learn the receiver position, and you don't do that overnight or over season. And on the other side of things, of course, Hudson Clement, hit the transfer portal. He has committed to Illinois, and so has his brother Murphy, who was a walk-on at West Virginia. So you don't tend to get the fanfare. But the Clement family has left the building and the state. Now, with that in mind, Hudson Clement has been taking a lot of crap from people who claim to be West Virginia fans. Technically, they are fans, but man, this crap is disgusting. I'm sorry, it is disgusting. You don't jump all over a guy and make claims as if you know, when you don't, why something is happening. We've got all this business about it being over money. We got people throwing around numbers as if they have evidence. No one has supplied any evidence. Somebody made a claim. Somebody may have claimed to have a source. Hey, folks need to go read The Vanishing Hitchhiker by Jan Harold Brunvand. It was the first work on urban legends, which I'm sure you've heard of. And one of the patterns for spotting an urban legend is friend of a friend. Somebody, hey, my friend had this happen. You ask the friend, no, that was a friend of mine. You ask that friend, no, that was a friend of mine. And it never goes anywhere. And with the numbers that people are talking about, first of all, almost every NIL number that has been put out in the media since NIL started is something somebody made up. We do not get to see contracts. This is not public information. Unless you are in the room or whatever and actually see and hear this, you do not have information, you have gossip. And a lot of gossip is petty and vengeful. And that's what we've got going on here. And Clement, I mean, a lot of people think he should have kept his mouth shut. Of course, we all know that if you don't keep your mouth shut, you get more people responding. But dang it, he's got a right to defend himself. And then he uses a double negative and people throw a fit. And you know what? A double negative is perfectly, totally legitimate. It has a very long history of use. And you can't say it's wrong because, in math, a double negative would equal a positive. It doesn't work that way in English language, especially in Appalachian grammar. And there is such a thing as Appalachian grammar, work by a guy named Wolfram back in the 70s, I believe, established that there is a grammar to the usage. There is a time when you say tain't instead of ain't. It is proper grammar. And for that matter, ain't is a legitimate word. It's just that culturally, some people don't like it. The refined folk don't like ain't or double negatives. Well, I got one crap load of education, but I don't suppose I'm that refined, because ain't no way I'm going to give up no double negatives if I don't want to. And that's just the way it's going to be. So appreciate what Murphy and Hudson did. Be upset if you want, but don't act like this is some romantic relationship that broke up and you have to find something wrong with the other person to legitimize the breakup. That's what this is like. Oh, it's got to be something wrong with them. It can't be something more complex, because that would require thought. And it can't be me. For heaven's sakes, there couldn't be some legitimate reason that Hudson Clement had a problem with West Virginia. I don't know if he did or not, but neither do you. So, sometimes it's better to keep your mouth shut. And I know some people would like to tell me that, and I've rambled longer than I meant to on this. I'm sorry, but it is just, it's beyond frustrating. Okay, let's end on a positive note, or what I certainly hope will be a positive note down the road. Again, not officially announced, but unofficially leaked, that Noel Divine will be back at West Virginia University on staff, probably as an analyst. Now, Divine does not have any significant coaching experience, which means an analyst is a pretty good, starting spot for him. He's not going to be a lead analyst, I'm sure. So he'll have other people to learn from. And if he does want to get into coaching down the road, this will be the way to start. So let us hope that works out. And don't read too much into this. It's not necessarily intended to get any of his offspring to come to West Virginia. As far as I understand, it is just to bring Noel Divine in as an analyst. So let's enjoy that. I don't think we are going to get a highlight tape of Divine as an analyst, but hopefully he will be a significant force behind the scenes. Now, I will be back, of course, if we get more news down the road. Oh, one thing I was going to say. You may have seen this thing sitting here on my desk and wondered, what is that? Well, this is actually West Virginia glass. It came from the junk pile, trash pile of the Ravenswood Novelty Glass Company in Ravenswood, West Virginia, which actually closed, late 50s, I think, early 60s. But factory was still around, and tons of marbles in the dirt were still around, and the trash pile that, up against the side of the building, all the way high enough that I could crawl into a window that wasn't quite boarded up properly. Now, I do not think that this is the particular piece that is responsible for this spot being more dented than the rest. Could be. But it was a doorstop at our house for a couple of years before we moved, and it went with us, and it came along with me. So I do keep a bit of West Virginia history with me. Okay, guys, thanks for watching, and I will talk to you later. So long.